as you mentioned, there was one other thing, and this illustrates when we talked about the lawsuit against AEW and the crew member that was thrown to the ground by Jon Moxley or shoved to the ground and is suing because he had a serious injury. And people are looking at the video and they're going, well, that looks like bullshit. Just because these goofy wrestlers take all these insane bumps through furniture every week on television doesn't mean that you can't just get hurt just fucking up, right? Remember, Rhea Ripley separated her shoulder being run into the wall, but actually running into the wall on her own in a working way from, might have been Becky Lynch a while back. I can't remember who it was. Well, in this case, this was and this is to the point where people were asking if this was a work. Like, oh, did they just write her out because she's going to? No, this would have been the most horrible work in the history of works, and nobody would have cleared this idea to get out of the goddamn finish room to do it this way. Liv Morgan has a match with Kairi Sane, and they ring the bell, and literally, in the proper usage of that term, which everybody uses that word, but literally, this is literally the way the word should be used. Literally the first movement of the match. Liv goes for a thing and Kairi Sane ducks under it. And as Liv turns around, she goes for kind of a drop toe hold on Liv Morgan, where Liv will go face first, chest first, belly first, whatever, face down to the mat. And Kairi Sane was going to have the legs. And as soon as Liv went down and caught herself on the belly flop, she grabbed her arm and she winced in pain and she rolled out of the leg lock and rolled to the floor. And you saw her go down and be, leaned up against the barricade and holding her arm. And then they go back to shooting the ring. And then I think you might have seen one more quick shot of her, but then they go back to the ring and Kairi Sane now is like, what do I do? She's running, hitting the ropes and firing the people up or whatever. Not Doc Samson. He bailed out. He left the ship and went to the other company, but whoever their doctor is.
Cut his hair.
Yeah, there you go. And he never has been the same Samson since he cut his hair. But anyway, whoever the doctor is, they went over to check on her off camera. They wouldn't shoot it. And then they just went to a break out of, the announcer is saying, oh, Liv is being checked by the doctor. And then they just went to break. And when they came back, the match was already over. They announced that she had been taken out. They showed a replay of them helping her out with her holding her arm. And then the announcers had to kill time for a while because the only match left was their main event four-way, and they weren't supposed to go this early. And then they got the word that it sounded like she had had a separated shoulder. And it's believable because you never know. It can be a freak thing. And that's why we've always said so often, why are these guys taking all these ridiculous risks when it's already a risky profession? And now, having said, again, this didn't look like anything to write home about, that you would take a bump like this in any normal match, but it's just the right way that it happens. Especially on something that you're not, if you're not thinking that you need to brace for something, or that something is so simple, or I've done this so often, or this is not the part where I'm going to hurt myself, that's sometimes when it happens. And the guy who had Adam Cole jumped off that ramp to just jump down to the floor that he'd probably done 100 times and broke his ankle or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Punk jumping into the crowd, hit his foot on the guardrail, remember?
Yes. I mean, it's the shit that sometimes you're not prepared for, but things happen. But so if that's her shoulder, which they say it is, then that's going to be several months, I would think, just because it takes a while to get the mobility and the strength and everything back. But, again, it can happen at any point. So we're going back to the crew guy. he got shoved down on the floor. He wasn't even taking a bump in a ring that he was prepared for. You know, sometimes innocuous things, that's what killed him. You never know. But this was neither person's fault. This was just something that happened. Because I don't see how you could have guarded against this. I've never seen it happen that way before.
Yeah, we talk so much about stupid shit and stupid injuries that happen because of stupid shit. This is legitimately like one of those injuries that happens because you're a professional wrestler, period. No one did anything wrong. She landed on the mat. The commentators are right away trying to say like her elbow, but it was clear to me that it was her shoulder. And then she immediately rolled out and held it. They went to break.
Well, I think when they were talking about the elbow, it could have been a hyperextension. It wasn't like she hit the elbow, but see, when you go to with your hand, what probably popped her shoulder out was when she hit the mat just at the angle she was going and put her hands down and braced. Remember when Randy Orton, who had a history of shoulder issues and separations, he was doing his pound the mat thing, and he used to do it with his fists down rather than his forearms.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And there was a mat, he's doing that, getting ready to jump up and do his thing, and he pounded his fist on the mat and fucking dislocated his own shoulder. And so the thing is, you can do the same thing athletically 100 times, and on 101, your ankle, knee, shoulder, elbow, wrist, joint, something may give out. And in this case, it was probably the angle that instead of hyperextending the elbow, it jarred the shoulder out of socket at the joint up there. But that, again, yes, I just talked about Randy Orton being able to do it, but this girl is 125 pounds. So let's say you run into an oak tree with a Volkswagen. Volkswagen's probably going to come out the worst of it. But if you run into a fucking 8-foot Christmas tree with a Volkswagen, it's going to run over it. That's why I talk about the girls with the furniture and off the balcony and everything. You still have less muscle mass to protect you, less body weight, less thickness. And, so what did they say about Bruno Sammartino when Hansen lost him on a slam? If he hadn't had a neck that thick, it might have paralyzed him. So anyway, we wish Liv Morgan the best.
And then he trimmed down after that, actually, if you look at him, after that point. But yeah, I guess that's the saddest thing.
Yes, well, and a lot of times after injuries, in some cases, you have to trim down, or as you age, athletes, they have to get lighter to carry less weight to put less stress on the joints. But in some cases, it's a help, and some it's a hindrance.
Well, like you said, get well soon, Liv Morgan. She's been one of the highlights of this show. Whether she's in a match or whether she's just causing chaos at ringside, she has been, in many cases, single-handedly the reason these Judgment Day segments work in the back. I guess she'll still be involved in the show. She just won't be wrestling, but she's been one of the very best on this show. So you hate to see this.
But that's, again, it can happen anytime. Do not ask for whom the bump tolls. It tolls for thee.